Hi, I'm Steve Fisher, and welcome to the HPD Handsonic and SPD-20 Total Percussion Pad demo video. I'm very excited to show you these two great electronic percussion instruments. And let's start off with the Handsonic. Well, what is the Handsonic? Obviously, it's a unique looking piece, but what the Handsonic is, it's an electronic percussion instrument that's made just for hand percussionists, or really anybody that wants to control electronic drum sounds and percussion sounds with their hands. A little bit of background on why we developed the Handsonic. Just like we developed the V-drums, which gave drummers the electronic counterpart to their acoustic set, where they could easily take their natural playing technique and adapt them to electronics, same thing with the Handsonic. It gives the hand percussionists their ability to use their natural playing technique and be able to manipulate electronic drum and percussion sounds, and of course then access that whole big world of electronics and all the benefits that come along with that. Now, of course, the Handsonic, hence the name Handsonic, use your hands to play. Our SPD-20 over here, you use drumsticks to play. So that's one of the main differences between the two. Now again, as I mentioned, Handsonic is great for hand percussionists, but again, it's really for anybody that wants to use their hands to manipulate those sounds, whether it be DJs, keyboard players, or really just about anybody that just wants to have fun playing those sounds. Let's talk about the Handsonic, some of the specifications. There are 600 sounds built into the Handsonic. There's also 180 different patches, or instrument setups, if you will, instrument groupings. Now, there's digital effects, and there's even a built-in sequencer for the Handsonic. Now, if you look at the Handsonic, it's got a lot of great controlling capabilities. Starting off with this gum rubber pad that's right here, it's divided into 15 areas, so I can control 15 different sounds from the pad. Now, the pad's not only velocity sensitive, but it's pressure sensitive. I'll be pointing out some of those features in just a moment. We also have two ribbon controllers on each side, and I have a very unique D-beam controller that's right there that I can use to trigger sounds and manipulate parameters. Now there's more, I can create more sounds or play more sounds by connecting pads or pedals. In the back panel area, I've got the ability to either connect a dual trigger pad, which will take any of Roland's pads, or in this case, I'm using a KD7 kick drum controller, and there's another input for an expression pedal. Or in this case, I'm using an FD7 hi-hat controller. So I can use those two. Now, while we're at the back panel, let's take a look at some of the other features. There's the stereo outputs. There's a headphone output. There's a foot switch control that I can use to change patches if I'd like. There's a MIDI in and out section, which is great because that allows you to play whatever you're going to play on the Handsonic to be recorded as MIDI events. So it's great for sequencing. It's a great application. And there's even an audio mix input that I can mix in an outside audio source with. Now, looking at the SPD-20, a couple of features about the SPD-20. There's 700 sounds built into the SPD-20. There's 8 velocity-sensitive pads that are on the front. It does have digital effects with reverb, delay, chorus, and flanging. And if you look at the back panel, it's got a couple unique features as well. Of course, we have our audio outputs, and there's a headphone output, and there's MIDI in and out. So again, like the Handsonic, anything I play can be recorded by a sequencer. But there's 4 dual trigger inputs on the SPD-20, which is key to why the SPD-20 is such a versatile piece of equipment. First of which, those 4 dual trigger inputs, I can connect pads and pedals much like I've got here, creating a small electronic drum set. I've got a kick drum controller, a hi-hat controller, snare pad, and hi-hat pad, so I can play it like a small drum set. The other way you can use those 4 dual trigger inputs is to incorporate an SPD-20 with your acoustic drum set. It's very effective in that manner, where you can put your SPD-20 right in your acoustic drum setup, not only trigger the 8 pads, but use those 4 dual trigger inputs to strategically place 4 more dual trigger pads around your setup. Now here's a really important point. Those 4 dual trigger inputs will also give you the capability to trigger your acoustic drums. So you can put acoustic drum triggers on your acoustic drums and trigger the sounds inside the SPD-20. And you can do a combination. A very popular one is using the 4 inputs, having 2 inputs to trigger kick and snare, and the other 2 dual trigger inputs to have 2 more pads placed around your drum setup. So SPD-20 is an extremely versatile piece, and it's great. Let's go back to the Handsonic, because I want to show you how well the Handsonic can translate acoustic hand drum playing technique. In this case, in this example I'm going to show you, I have an acoustic conga drum over here on my right-hand side. And of course, there's many different sounds that drum can make. And I'll show you how it can make the same sounds with the Handsonic. First of all, let's take an open sound. So I can play an open sound. Same thing with the Handsonic. I can play an open sound. I can play a mute sound, which is simply putting my hand on the drum and hitting it. You can hear that difference. Same thing here because of our pressure-sensitive pads. So you can hear how that works. And again, it's using those pressure-sensitive pads. Some other sounds, of course, with even my hand still on the drum, is a slap tone, which I can do here, hand on there. So I can do a slap tone. I can do an open slap, which is, of course, without my hand on the drum. Same thing here with the Handsonic. And some other different sounds too. For example, like a bass tone where I'm using the heel of my hand to get that low end sound. Same thing here with the middle pad. And even things like even finger scrapes. So I can do that as well. And of course, even triggering the D-beam to trigger sounds. So just to give you an example, another a sound that not a lot of people hear, of course, is a heel-toe sound when conga drum players play. And you're mainly hearing the more pronounced sounds like the slaps and the opens, but what's going on in between, it helps a player keep time. And we have those same heel-toe sounds on the Handsonic. So when I play a traditional cha-cha pattern on this acoustic conga drum, I can do the same thing on the Handsonic. So you can see how that works. Again, with the addition of the pads and pedals, those inputs on the back, I can have my FD7 and KD7 control more sounds. So if I want to play a pattern and add shaker and a clave, I can do that. So you see how that can work. So it's really great how it can translate, again, that acoustic drum playing technique right to the Handsonic. Let's take another sound. I'll show you something interesting too. Of course, same thing goes if I wanted to play bongo sounds. So I can do, again, using that same traditional hand playing technique. Now, besides triggering sounds like I was doing with all the different ribbon controllers and the D-beam and the pads themselves, I can have them manipulate parameters. In this case, I have a patch that's called talking drum. And a talking drum is, and some people call it a squeeze drum because you put it between your arm, and as you squeeze it, when you play it, the pitch gets higher because you're pulling the head tighter. Well, we can do the same thing here, except to manipulate the pitch, I can use the pressure-sensitive pads. I can use the ribbon controller, or I can use the D-beam. So I'm using all those controllers to manipulate different parameters versus just triggering sounds. Now you might have noticed too that the Handsonic is extremely sensitive and it's very dynamic, and it has to be for you to be able to play just with your hands and your fingers. For example, I'll show you one patch. This is a frame drum patch. You can see how I can just use my fingers to manipulate the sounds. So you can see how that works. And even things with, like, for example, tabla sounds as well. So you can see how that works. Again, just using your fingers to be able to do that. Now there's another feature that the pads have that's really unique. And you might have noticed it a little bit, in that the front pads have positional sensing, which, like our V drums, will allow the Handsonic to recognize where I'm playing on the pads and adjust the sound accordingly. And that works really well. For example, I've got a djembe patch here where I've got those sounds there, bass tones, and my mutes. But when I play the edge and want to play those open slaps, you can really hear the difference. Again, that's using the positional sensing. which is great. Now, of course, you've got 15 pads there, and like I mentioned, the 600 sounds, you've got the ability to also play the pitched instrument sounds that are inside the Handsonic. In this example, I'm showing you a vibraphone patch that's here. So you can see playing vibraphone or really any pitch percussion or any of the melodic instruments that are inside the unit. Now, one controlling feature I didn't mention to you yet, and it's these three real-time modification knobs that's on my left. And what that allows me to do is very quickly edit or change a sound. Now, of course, there's very in-depth editing parameters I can do to each sound. I can go into the editing menus and go through each different parameter and adjust that parameter. But with the real-time modification knobs, they allow me a real distinct advantage to control many different editing parameters at the same time. And it also allows me to kind of feel my way through editing a sound. For example, of my timbali patch, I can take that timbali and first of all just adjust the pitch. And I actually have 4 octaves of pitch. I can also do the panning, if I'd like to, and other parameters too, like filter sweeps, things like that. Now, the other thing that's kind of fun too, I've got a patch here that'll allow me to take advantage of manipulating the LFO rate, pitch, and also the filter and amplitude, which you can do. For example, here's a string patch, and listen to how crazy I can make this string patch in a very short amount of time. You can see that you can get some ridiculous sounds with the Handsonic and just using the real-time modification knob. So it's very quick and easy in that regard. Not only that, but of course just playing good old-fashioned drum set sounds. I've got it set up with my kick drum and my hi-hat, so there's no reason why I can play regular drum set type sounds. And even with the hi-hat controller, the FD7 allows me, just like all the Roland percussion sound modules, allows me to play smooth close to open, pedal sounds, and even heel splashes. As I mentioned earlier, the Handsonic is equipped with a built-in sequencer. Now the sequencer is 4 parts, and there's 198 sequence patterns, 99 of which are user patterns, which you can record yourself, and 99 are preset patterns. What's set up from the factory is several of the patterns to be able to be triggered from any of the pads. In this case, I can have, there's a whole set of Latin loops. And you can see I'm triggering the sequences from the pads. And not only as far as those loops go, as far as the percussion patterns, but also with the musical instruments included too. And all those sounds are built into the Handsonic. Again, as I mentioned, with the built-in sequencer, there's a lot of different possibilities you can do. Now, as we were listening to several of the different looped sequences. Now, the sequencer can do 3 different types of sequencing. First of all, it's loop sequences, which we just were playing, which they just loop over and over. Another form of sequence playback is called one-shot, which is simply playing back once and stopping. And the sequence stops. And the other form is called tap sequencing, where the sequence is assigned to the pad, and as I play the pad, I actually tap through the sequence or step through it. So that's the other form. Now, as I mentioned, you can also sequence any pattern that you want to sequence yourself, because it will record what you play. Let me show you that very quickly. It's very easy to do. I'm just bringing up my conga drum patch. I simply push the record button, and what I want to do is I'm going to have a loop pattern. It's just going to loop 4 bars, loop over and over. So it's very easy for me to do. I'm going to record standby. I push play. So when you're finished, you have your pattern. Now, one exciting twist you can do to your pattern is using the real-time modification knobs. Now, as you saw me do before, I was able to manipulate several different parameters at the same time, which is very helpful. But in this case, what I'm going to do is do some editing to that actual pattern. I'm going to change the characteristic style of that pattern. Take a listen and you'll understand what I mean. And you stop it, and that sequence recorded all the knob movements that I just performed. So you can see how much fun that is. Now, turning over to our SPD-20 total percussion pad. Now, although the SPD-20 doesn't have a built-in sequencer, it does have loop sounds, which are fun to play along with. And I can trigger a loop and actually use a DP2 or a Boss FS5U foot switch to hold the loop, such as in this case. Another great feature that the SPD-20 has is its unique ability to layer sounds. As a matter of fact, there's over 65,000 different combinations of sounds when you start layering. Now, layering's fun, but there's different ways we can layer sounds as well. In this case, I've got a bongo and a tambourine layered together. That's great. Another way we can layer sounds is what we call velocity switching, which means I play at a certain velocity, I get one sound, play at another velocity, and I get a completely different sound. There's also the ability to do what we call velocity crossfade, which I still have 2 different sounds, but as one sound fades out, the other sound starts to fade in, like in this ride cymbal, where the harder I hit it, I slowly blend in the bell. And there's one more type of layering, which is called velocity mixing. And what velocity mixing allows us to do is take one sound, and as I play harder, it blends in the next sound. And for example, in this vibe patch, now when I play harder, it'll bring in a harmony part. What I'll also do is use my FD7 hi-hat controller to bring in the digital effects. In this case, I've got reverb and chorus on this patch, and I can use the hi-hat pedal to bring in and out the effect. Take a listen. Now that you know the main features of the HPD 15 Handsonic and the SPD 20 Total Percussion Pad, let's listen to the wide variety of sounds you can play with both of these electronic percussion instruments.